Chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays offside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benny. Sells.
Hello and welcome to this latest episode of the Gull'S Eye View. I'm joined by Rachel, who's cool to say what an amazing job Rachel did last week. And of course, Rachel, you're on the first ever episode as
Straight
well
off the
of
straight off the
Gull'S Eye
subs
View.
bench.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Rachel is a permanent member of our team now. I mean, been part of Talkie Talk for years, and it's absolutely brilliant. So I just want to say what an amazing job you've done, and great to have you. We've also got Tom and we've got Chris this week.
It's massive anticlimax, that wasn't it? And we also
Should have
got.
done it the other way round. Never mind. Never mind. Right, so we're here to talk mainly about. Well, I've named the video "A Win's a Win." That's how we'll see it. I mean, there's some brilliant positives in the first half, definitely. But we'll start. Yeah, we'll start as a huge 3 points, isn't it? But we'll start. I've started the first 10 minutes actually. I just want to say, in case it gets forgotten, there's been a lot of Talkie fans that said similar, and Paul Mahern and all this. Hornchurch, I was really, in this division, there's been a lot of teams where they've turned up, Eastbourne being one, oh, they're unbeaten in 11, they're all this, they're this, and I'm like, oh, we could be in for a game today, and they are solid. But that was apart from maybe Worthing, which we eventually won. Was one of the only teams I've seen really, and maybe Churro here and there, it seemed really take the game to Torquay. Like first 10 minutes, we couldn't get a kick, could we, Chris? It was just, it wasn't even that we've been bad. They were just all over us.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when they looked at their team sheet. When you looked at their team sheet before the game, they had some players, at that level, even in their advancing years. Angelo Balanta, Miles Weston, I've always liked when he was at Dagenham. He's got a dangerous left foot, especially coming in off that right hand side. Mo Salah-esque. And yeah, they had some players in there. I mean, I didn't think they had much cutting edge really, which is probably why we got away with the second half as we did. But yeah, I mean, the first 10 minutes, as funny, I just said to my dad, why is it first 10 minutes we just never get on the ball? We sit off. We almost play like the away team, don't we? But then the first time we get in their half, we get a free kick and score.
Yeah.
And it just changes the whole momentum of the first half then.
Proper goal, wasn't it? Proper goal. We had all the passing. It's really weird. It was like a bit different to a lot of Torquay games. They had all the passing in the first 10 minutes. And then it was just one brilliant ball into the box for Jordan Young. And that was obviously off the training ground. Ed Palmer's just done fantastically well to flick it down. And that's an instinctive finish by Finley Crask.
I have to say, Swanee, I don't know what anyone else thought, but my instinct when it went in was I looked at my dad and kind of went, that looked a bit foully. It was a bit kind of two hands in the back. So I thought it might be given. But yeah, my instinct was, ooh. But yeah, great finish. Forward finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rachel, Finley Crask has had a fantastic game and is really showing that I've always really rated Finley Crask. I know he's had injuries. I thought he's a really solid footballer for a long time. But I think he showed his talent, didn't he, on Saturday?
Finished. Well, he took that goal well, didn't he? Yeah. And it was against the run of play a little bit, wasn't it? We were, up against it somewhat up until that point. Yeah, I like Finley Crask. I think out of all of those Will Hancock's promo vids, his was the real splasher, wasn't it? The Key West, was it the Devil's Drop? And he's coming into some form, isn't he? Currently, which is probably a good time to start coming into some form because we are looking a little bit, or potentially going to be very lightweight, aren't we, on Saturday? Just pending the Samdrea appeal, but a friend of mine is a big Truro supporter. He's also an Aston Villa fan. Some of you might know him, John. He's not a bad lad, honestly. But
would you describe him as a friend of yours, Rachel?
He is.
I would.
He's a good lad. He just gets a little bit feisty, doesn't he, on the socials?
It's all good fun, isn't it?
Characters
but yeah. And sort of perversely, he's sponsored Torquay games. He's he said to me that he's got a soft spot for Torquay, but I don't know. It's I think now that Truro are being quite competitive at the moment, aren't they? But he, for a couple of years, he's been talking about this Finley Crask and saying what a great fullback he is, and he's been singing his praises a bit. So when we signed him, I was really excited because I'd had all this praise from him and saying what a good player he is, and I'm really, really chuffed that he's starting to show us what obviously other people have seen it. Obviously, what Paul Watton's seen in him, because he was under his tutelage, wasn't he, at Truro? But yeah, no, good player, and chances are we're going to need him, aren't we, on Saturday in some capacity, quite possibly as a centre back.
I think the change of shapes helped him as well, because he'd not looked that comfortable as a fullback in a four for me. And one of those games where he played at right back and Jordan Thomas at left, he's not a naturally attacking kind of. The Hampton game wasn't, where he got in down the right and we really lacked any kind of quality delivery, but he looks much more comfortable in a three, doesn't he? He defends well, he heads the ball well, he clears his lines well, apart from the penalty. I agree. He's looked very comfortable there. He's looked like a really important part of that unit, because for all the kind of I guess the negative positions we had in the second half, they didn't hurt us in the box, apart from the one moment, really, did they? And I thought he was solid again. Yeah,
I said it quite a few times now, but especially at the start, I think when he trialled for us against Plymouth, the team that's been released by the time, I always thought him a bit more of a creative midfielder. Actually, I thought that
he played in midfield, didn't he, in that game? Yeah.
I saw him more as even a potential number 10 at one point in his career. So a lot of people have said to me, have made the point that it's sometimes those versatile players, they're a bit of a victim of their own versatility, really, because they don't necessarily settle. But right now,
Phil Neville.
that's the thing. So right now in this role, Wotton's got the perfect sort of thing for him going. Tom, talk about the penalty. What was your view on it?
Well, I can only judge on the highlights, because I only caught the last half hour on the radio. Fantastic work once again, Swanee and Paul. Really enjoyed listening to that, even though it was.
Crikey, we got a long way in without hearing that Swanee was on the radio. There, that's quite good.
Didn't even bring it up himself, eh?
I needed to sit down after that second half. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a penalty, and it's borderline on the line. But I think 9 times out of 10, the referee's going to give it. Crucial time of the game, potentially the turning point of the game as well. Fantastic save from Hammy, wasn't it? And we just about managed to clear it. I penciled Hornchurch as one of those teams to potentially be the dark horses for challenging for the top. And they gave us a really challenging game at their place, where I don't think we were in the same respect. I mean, we didn't really turn up for the first half, and then second half we kind of got into it a little bit, but by then the damage had already been done. I think on the back of Eastbourne, Worthing and Hornchurch, to get 7 points from 9 is a very, very good return. And the lads had to battle in, didn't they? They really had to step up with the injuries that we've got. And, I'm sure Hornchurch, smelt blood a little bit and thought we could get something out of this. And thankfully we managed to get the goals that we needed to see off the game, and, bit of luck on the second half, which we'll come into shortly. I don't really have a lot more to add, I'm afraid, because I only caught about the last half hour, which turned out the worst half hour of the afternoon.
Can I ask a question? Was it a great save or was it a terrible penalty?
Both.
Because I think it was a really poor penalty. I think that's a penalty. Yeah. If the keeper goes the right way, he's going to save that every single time, isn't he?
It won us the match, so it's a great save.
Well, absolutely. And he went the right way.
Save from a penalty.
But his body position, there was no way with the way he was taking it that he'd be able to close his foot and put it the other way, was there? It was bizarre, because a lot of the modern players run up straight, don't they, now? So that you've got the option of opening your foot or closing your foot. But it was only ever going to go one way. It was strange. It was so clearly telegraphed.
Got a bit fortunate though, didn't we? Because we didn't really clear it away well.
No.
You can hear the commentary in the from the Torquay TUSE radio. It was like, oh, it's cleared. Oh, it's not gone out. Oh, it's still in place. Sort of thing. Think, oh God. But,
I think he gets another foot to it. Someone pokes it towards a goal, don't they? And he gets his foot. Hammond gets his foot to it again.
Yeah.
He almost made a double save, didn't he? I mean, there was a scramble, and I was actually quite impressed with James Hammond's reflexes, because he made the save and he was alert to it. So. He kind of blocked the ball coming in. I don't even think it was a Hornchurch player. I think it might have been a defender that. It was a bit of bagatelle, wasn't there?
James Heyman is really earning his worth at the moment, isn't he? Like, huge goalkeeping performance of the last few games. Honestly, I'm so happy for him. I really like the guy. I really like him as a keeper, but it's just he's coming into form at the right time.
Twice now is he man of the match at home in the last 2 home games. There's a lot.
Deserved.
There's a lot.
Yeah, no, he was really good. Some big saves in the second half as well.
What did you think, Chris? Did you think it was a penalty?
In
It was a
hindsight,
foul.
no.
It was
It's a foul, but it was outside the box.
I think it was outside the box. I mean, it's one of those. It's one where I think, Tom, where VAR would have been an interesting one to have on that, because actually the first contact is outside the box. It's just outside. Then you could argue the contact's on the line, and then he kind of makes sure he kind of takes another half a hotch and then falls into the box, doesn't he? So I think officially, statistically, it was the first contact which starts to send him over is outside the box, but equally you can understand. And actually, it was one of the better referees we've seen this season.
I was just about to say that.
Let them play, and I thought
might even be the best ref we had this year. No,
I don't think you can complain it was given. Put it that way, because it was clearly a foul.
No, it was definitely a foul.
Yeah, Watton was saying he got the ball at the time. He didn't get the ball, I don't think. But yeah, it was definitely a foul. But yeah,
they see a foot, they kick the player.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. I think you can't
for years.
Yeah, you can't complain at it being given. But it was close. It was definitely close. But he saved us. Who cares?
We've had so many referees that have been. They sort of lull us into a false sense, don't they? The first half, there's been hardly any cards and what have you, and then the second half, the cards are coming out. So I thought she did very well, and she wasn't sort of card happy at all.
Do you want a fun fact about her as well? She
had very long hair.
She did. She refereed the women's FA Cup final last year.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
very good. I was very impressed. Yeah. I was very impressed.
Can I jump ahead for the? Sorry, take you for a minute there. To jump ahead to the second goal because you threw me there. I wasn't.
Yeah, we'll go there now anyway. Yeah.
With judging on the highlights, it seemed like we were quite successful in the first half on the right hand side of the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
If the goals came from that end of the pitch in the build up.
Yeah, we were. Well, until they made a change at half time, we were absolutely just destroying them on that side.
Your favourite goal of the season, Swanee, wasn't it?
It was my favourite goal of the season. I'll tell you why, because I finally saw Jordan Young. Some say it was a bit offside, but I finally saw Jordan.
Definitely onside.
Definitely on. Cool. I thought it was on at the time. Jordan Young on the last man, put through. That's what I want to see him. And for me, it wasn't just the fact that we got the ball to, we've been saying this for a few weeks now, to the byline. It's the fact that this is why Jordan Young is an unbelievable player, because he waited for the right moment. And what made it easy for him, I'd have to go and look at it again, but at the time it felt like 3 or 4 options. Like one went to the front post, and even if you're making a run, which is obviously being marked, and you're not going to get the ball, that is not a useless run, because it means that the lad behind you is most likely going to be free, and that's what happened. Carson came in, timed his run to perfection, and like that is just such a it looks easy, but that's because Carson is a technical footballer who's come through an academy like Southampton. But like the way he's done that, stroked into the corner, the top corner like that. That's what's my favourite goal, because I love seeing runs off the ball, and that's how football should be in my way. You've got 3 or 4 lads making really good runs in that occasion, where a lot of time we put a ball in and no one's there. So I was absolutely delighted with that goal.
Yeah. And I would say as well, it's a sort of situation we've not made enough of this season. We've had so many situations in the front third where we've not got the ball right, the pass has been overhit, and actually it was one of those situations you could have got the cross wrong. He actually went through the defender's legs as well, watching the replay, but he could have overhit the pass, could have played it behind him, but it was a perfectly weighted pass. And again, the finish looks an easy finish from 10 yards out, but it's easy to scuff it or lean back and sky it. So it was just a really nicely taken goal all round, I thought. And it's very important, because 2-0 from 1-0 with the penalty save, especially with what followed in the second half, was a very important moment.
Going into the second half then, Rachel, obviously, before we go into it, obviously, we've played a lot of football recently. The lads shattered, you could tell that. It was a bit of a weird one, really, because it wasn't until the last 20 minutes I was really concerned. I kind of thought we were kind of managing the game, but then we started to just get quite sloppy. And when you look at it, we didn't really put any passing together really in that second half, did we? We kind of just lost our way.
I mean, we didn't really command the midfield at all, did we? And as you say, there were so many loose passes. I mean, I don't want to sort of pinpoint any particular players. Lyric Hassani, just very sloppy, loose passing, and it was. But he wasn't the only culprit. I mean, there was a few. Will Jenkins-Davis came on, didn't he? And I mean, to be fair, the lad's been injured and that, so he's finding his legs. But I think Paul Watton alluded to that, didn't he? That he was the fact that we got over the line, and the lads did have really heavy legs after the Eastbourne exploits. So give them a get out of jail card, as it were. But and then and Omar Musa, there's always that apprehension, isn't there? There's that sort of we sort of get off our seats a little bit when Musa's introduced, but he just couldn't get hold of the ball at all, could he? And of course we were playing so deep that when the ball was coming over, he was pretty much the only man. I mean, I think was Cody Cook still on the pitch? He must have been playing really deeply as well. So yeah, no, it was a pretty nondescript second half.
Yeah,
wasn't
I can't really. It was just like Hornchurch, and I think it wasn't just like the bad passing. I think it's more that there's like nothing really to pass to. I think that was my biggest problem. That maybe there's a situation that needs to be. Again, it's all experience for a team where it's like right, if we're out of energy and we're struggling, start working out different shapes on the pitch just to keep the ball and slowly work our way up under those sort of high pressure situations.
I think as well, Swanee. I don't think the changes helped us. It's not a criticism. It's just a whether it was the intention or just what ended up happening because people were so short of energy. But the two wide players, Young, they're looking after clearly because he's had a bit of a thigh issue, haven't they? And Jay coming off. I don't think those two changes helped us because he brought Jenkins Davis on one side, Musa the other, and they both just kind of sat in front of the two midfield players that were playing in midfield. Obviously, Hayfield came off and Threlko came on to give that more experienced shield. So they both just kind of sat in kind of 10, 15 yards inside our own half. So there was no kind of, again, in hindsight, but I'd have almost been more tempted to get Morgan on because Morgan would have kind of got us up the pitch a bit more and kind of got us out with a bit of pace somehow. But yeah, we just couldn't get out. And it was funny looking back on it. At the time, it wasn't a big panic, I didn't think, because actually they didn't look like scoring, really. But it was just like, see it out, job done, 2-0, let's all go home. It was just the fact that they scored so late, which then leads to, a bit of a panic. But actually, again, after the goal, there was only 4 minutes of injury time. They didn't really get near our goal again. But I just thought the changes, whether it was a subconscious thing or what, I just thought the changes we made, which I think were probably the right personnel ones, but it just led to us just sitting in a bit much. And
I agree.
Get out.
I agree. At the time, I was like, me and Paul Mahone were saying that's what we love for Watson. He's so on it. That's a change we'd definitely make. But we just didn't quite work any of it. But we got the 3 points. It's one of those where it's just like, we won, let's just move forward. And that's the main thing.
Yeah.
And the players should be proud of how they sort of dug in for that, really. Tom, anything to add?
I mean, I said to Rachel before recording, like, I don't care about the performances too much anymore. It's all about getting the 3 points. No. Like, if we have to win ugly for the rest of the season to have a shout of promotion, so be it, sort of thing.
Yeah. We know we're a good team now. So it's about
we are, but you say winning ugly, but we have got some real talented players there. We've brought Matt Jay in, and with all due respect, we haven't seen him, have we, at his capacity, the player that we're hoping we are going to see, and I'm sure we will. But
it's going to take time for him. He's not fit, is he? Really? Like,
I think he's trying a little bit. My guess at times, like there's that bit in that second half where he won the ball and then he took it into the box and tried to. It's almost like he's trying to not overplay, but he's just needs to do a little bit more sort of basics a bit at times. I think he's just so keen to show, we all know what the player he is.
Yeah, I mean, I think
it could be a little bit. It could be a little bit. Sorry, where he's used to playing League Two standard. And it's not there's like not saying belittling. He's like thinking, but it's a different like type of game really when you're in headspace. So it's just getting back to sort of it's still football is football at the end of the day. But I think it's just getting. We always say at times with Moose and I'm a little in the past, where sometimes you're looking for runs that aren't there, and it's just a different kind of setup, isn't it? So it's just cohesion.
Yeah, he's a player that's good. He raises the team, so I get why he's come in, even though he's not played football for a while. Yeah. And I guess it's a case of the more he plays, then for the last 10 games of the season, you could argue that's when he's going to be at his best, when we need him to be at his best. I just think it's been, like I said earlier, it's just been a really tough week. Eastbourne at home on a difficult surface at Plainmoor. I think the ground staff have done a fantastic job, but it has been cutting up recently. And then you got to go to Worthing, again a fantastic club on a plastic pitch, and arguably having Jay on the bench on the Tuesday, we were so strong on the bench on Tuesday, and that worked in our favour in the end because we managed to get something out of it, and arguably something a bit more from it as well. But And I
think as well,
I was expecting a tough game against Hornchurch. Fantastic support as well that they brought down. I think that's fair as well. They made a great racket from what I heard on the radio as well. They were always going to give us a tough game, and I think it's one of those where if you're the better teams will, like, in respect to where you're on the division, will come through those more often than not.
Yeah. I think the other thing as well, Tommy, I don't know what you think, but I think the thing with Jay as well is if you think about what we signed him, 3 weeks ago, and we've been playing, we've had so many games, they won't be trained so much. And, managers talk, don't they? And you talk about how you train differently where you have a clear week from when you have a game week, because certainly last week, they had such a difficult journey back from Worthing. So Wednesday was a write-off. Thursday, they'd have been still feeling jaded. And so actually this week of having a whole week of training, I think training is important. In terms of getting players adjusted to systems and how things work and the runs people make and all that kind of stuff. So I think we've not had much training. If you look this week, hopefully will have been an important week, because if you look now, 3 midweeks on the bounce we've got now. So with fitness of the players and the travelling, not massive travelling, Western and Chippenham, it's not as bad as some of them, but it's still travelling. It's still late nights and everything. So you hope this week's going to have made a big difference to how we're able to play, because we've got, again, and I'll go back to something you just said there, about winning ugly, at the risk of repeating myself. Can we win ugly away from home? Haven't won away since the 30th of November, 4 of the next 5 away from home. Can we go to a playoff chasing side like Chelmsford and win? Can we go to Western and win? This is going to be the key now. This is if we can solve that, if we come out of these 5 games with 3 wins and a draw from the away games, or 2 wins, 2 draws, we're right in there. But can our home form ignite when we need it the most? Which, let's face it, it has to if we're going to go up automatically. It has to.
It's the difference between playoffs, title,
definitely,
isn't it? Yeah,
and second even.
Yeah, second is also a big thing. Yeah. Also, before I forget, unless it's not been made aware already, Dorking v Torquay tickets are available now to avoid a churro situation. Yellow Army.
It's my job later. My job later this evening.
Yeah, I was just doing it right now. Actually, it's not
it's
not like my brain has to do multiple things at once. But yeah,
after I've watched Liverpool beat Aston Villa, I'll do it then.
This is it as well. Like, we're 6 points.
I'm not going to argue with that, although it doesn't make me happy.
But we are 6 points behind Dorking, who have played 2 games more, so we can't afford to, let our foot off the gas here. We've got to go to Dorking. We have to be within a win away, or we have to be somewhat level with them or nearabouts, because otherwise, if we go to Dorking 6, 7 points behind and don't win there, then that potentially could be it for our title chances. So yeah, it's going to be a very tough and interesting next couple of weeks, because the majority of the games are away from home as well, as you said, Chris. So it's going to be, the lads are going to have to put another real shift in. And we've got to, haven't seen Torquay win yet since I've turned 33. Christ.
Chris, you always get your tickets now while I'm doing it.
Isn't that that's a line from an Aha song, isn't it? Is it Take On Me?
Yeah, and it's Dorking away, isn't it?
Away.
Yeah. No, who's the question is, who's going to win out of Torquay Twitter? The battle to put that up first on match day. So we'll see, but we'll see. Anyway, Kelly's corner. I'll quickly actually say, of course, it'd be rude not to bring it up. Torquay United documentary, incredible work from Will Hancock's and Ryan, just of Colbat, everyone involved. It's an amazing thing to put the club on the map, and hopefully we're going to progress that and he'll help as Westcott was saying, for us all there at the Premier. It's kind of like, right, every little thing helps with this now. It helps the club's image. It helps agents and players go, Torquay, it gets in their minds. If we can obviously put it online and push it towards other people, getting some global fans, getting everything like that. It's about getting the club's reputation. This is a big deal, this documentary Torquay. A plan that's needed to happen from the start. So I'm delighted to see it finally out and looking incredible. So, and thank you, of course, for all the lovely messages. It was a fun time.
Did a great job, Scott Airport. Very
good.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well deserved as well.
Yeah, and I'm proud that my only face in the first episode was me being rude to you, Swanee. I thought that was that was something I was proud of.
As we were saying before we come on there, my pet hate with our old episodes is the gap when I introduce everyone. And I go, and I'm joined by Chris. Hello. But because of Zoom, there's a gap. And I've been saying for ages, I was like, well, we're not doing that this season. I can't stand it. That's stupid. And then I'm sat watching it, and then it's just like,
It's
it feels
always back
longer
again.
when you're watching it when you're in the premiere, and it's just like, I'm joined by Chris. I'm joined by Dom. So I was like, yeah, that was proof in the pudding that's what's progression this year. Forget all the good stuff that Talk United have done. Our intros are better. So there we are.
But I mean, how
Definitely.
wonderful it was to have us represented in that way. I mean, a year ago, I mean, we're coming up to the anniversary, aren't we? Very in the next couple of days. But how wonderful to think a year ago that we would have any, any interaction with the Torquay United Football Club would have been, people have said you were mad. So, and the work that's gone in from everyone, from fans and the videos that we do every week to where we are now, and it was quite humbling watching it back, thinking, wow, what a crazy year and 18 months it's been for us. And again, it's very important to stress that whilst we enjoy, doing stuff with the football club, we are still Talky Talk. We are still our own thing. We're still going to be critical when we need to be critical. So, and I know that, Michael Westcott, Mark Bose-Cabinet and the rest of the Brink Consortium accept that. So
it is hard though. I'm so attached to this squad. I'm so attached to like the whole football club more than ever now. So it's it feels like.
Do you know, I was saying that to somebody at work yesterday who was talking about they'd watched it. I said, there's a part of me that's at peace with the fact that if we don't go up this year, that's okay. Because actually, think where we've come from. Think about where we've come from. Think about what we've now got. Think about what hopefully we've got for the future. Part of me is okay with that, but knowing the people a bit more and kind of having had a bit more of an insight actually makes you want it even more, because you see the people,
it will be incredible.
The personalities,
the world,
what it would mean to Paul and to Michael and to Mark. You know what it would mean to these people. So it would be such a phenomenal achievement from where we were to go up, but you'd just be so happy for us as fans, but for them as people, because how much they've put into it to change the direction of the business and the whole club.
I loved how candid Paul, and obviously we've spoken to him, and we know a lot quite about him now, but like that's the bloke he is. I think he has some really important conversations to have about sort of. I love people who self-reflect as well. We all do it. We go, right, I'm really good at that, maybe side, but I don't do that as well. And that's how these people sort of get to places. So I always remember from his first couple of interviews for the football club in BBC Radio Devon, how just like mentally smart he was and how much he understood the modern day man. I said it probably at the time.
He gets it though, doesn't he?
He gets it. He gets the football club. He gets how to manage the modern day male of like my age and below. We're different from his generation and maybe about 10 years below him as well. So it's just fantastic, really.
And there's one thing that he said that stuck in my mind from that first press conference, which is a sort of thing that it makes at the time you go, oof, that's a big thing to say. And he said, no one will be fitter than us. No one will work harder than us. And all of my players will leave everything on the pitch. And actually, there's never been a game. There's not been whatever's happened in games.
Cleave, really. And that was it.
Yeah, but even that, again, from a cup perspective, it's a little bit different. There was not one league game where you'd say actually they won't, they didn't give it everything, because they run and run and run and run, don't they, until they can't do any more. So and that's, if you're going to make a statement as bold as that, you've got to back it up in the players.
Gary Johnson said that though, didn't he? He said that in the past. Oh, I'd look at that turn.
But that wasn't true, was it? That's the difference.
I think that's the point. I don't want to bring him back, but like, that was the difference from a fan base who had so much of that over the last couple of years. And let's not forget how brilliant the first couple of years Gary Johnson was, as easy as it is to now. But I think to have Horton, who just cares so much about all of it, it's just amazing. And dare to daydream, but like if we do get promoted this season, the scenes would be absolutely incredible and beautiful in every single way. Brilliant for the documentary as well. So from a PR point of view, we need promotion. Let alone anything else. Forget the football. From the views that we get, we need promotion here, lads. But so going into Kelly's corner, what have we asked this week?
We've asked, with Dreyer potentially facing suspension and Dyer and Falston injured, would you like to see another defender signed? And if there isn't any new arrivals, what would your defensive lineup be for this Saturday's game away at Chelmsford? So Stephen Bagcott writes in and says, would like a new defender, but probably not some 18-year-old on loan unless they are a Nico Lawrence type player, of course. Ideally, some robust defender like Hornchurch's number 5 to come in and do a job. Crask and Palmer have done well, though, to be fair to them. Left back is also a concern, and even though we have Moxie and Carson who can play both there, both are also vulnerable in different ways. We have got Alan Wills who says, I would go Moxie, Palmer, Crask in central defence with wing backs of Thomas and Carson.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, that's what I do. I agree. I would put Crask left, Dino middle, and then Palmer right, I think.
Ollie,
might go Palmer middle, you could put
Moxie
left.
Palmer
the ball
middle,
over the top would be the danger
right,
for Mox, wouldn't it, in the middle?
Yeah.
And then you've got Ollie, who goes slightly different way, and he says, I think that dry suspension will get overturned, but if not, we should trust our defenders. I'm more concerned that we've only got one striker, and hopefully that gets sorted soon. He would play back four of Carson, Palmer, Crask, and Thomas. And we have David Caldwell, who says, we're definitely in the mix. Consistency is key. And that is everyone for Kelly's Corner this week. A slightly short one this week, but thank you everyone who wrote in and shared your thoughts. I was going to ask, what would your backline be for Chelmsford?
I'm just thinking actually, I'll have those three in centre back. It's just what way would you put Dean in left centre back, and then Palmer's in middle and Crasso to the right. It's just that Crass has been Michael on the right, but I think on the left, sorry. But I think you would do Dino, Palmer, Crask, and then Carson, Thomas, if all five are fit. Keep the same shape, it's working actually.
Yeah. The problem will be, can Moxie do 90 minutes in that process then, wouldn't it? Because there'd be literally no one else then, would there? Could you get away with playing Thomas as a wide centre back if you had to?
Possibly. Yeah. And then you could even and then you can always just back for it if Moxie's tired. Especially if you're needing a goal or something. So just take Dino out of it and then trust Carson left back. So yeah.
Your thoughts, Rachel?
I'd imagine they've been putting the feelers out personally for a loan deal because I don't know. It's Crask could potentially do a job at a centre back. I mean, we have got Threckeld, who is familiar with the centre back role. I'm not so sure whether he would, whether his legs are up. Maybe what Palmer Threckeld potentially, and keep Finley Crask. It's a bit of a hybrid, isn't it? Crask in the sort of the right back position. I don't know. What have we got? It's like throwing a dice really at the moment, isn't it? With because we've got five defenders, haven't we, at our disposal? But I would like to, as I say, somebody mentioned in Kelly's Corner, didn't they? A Nico Lawrence type. I mean, they certainly don't grow off trees, do they? But have Southampton got an allotment of young centre backs in that calibre, of players? Because he was brilliant, wasn't he? Nico, he was such a good player. I mean, there was watching him. It was almost like a young Paul McGrath to me. With his positioning and the way he could bring the ball out and stuff, really lovely player. So I don't know, is there a potential to get a young loan in? But then there's a risk with that, isn't there? I guess
appeal, doesn't it? If ultimately if Drea's appeal fails, then will the club look to make a move before Saturday? But
if they do, can you then bring someone in and stick them into a team? Let's go for promotion.
You don't know. I mean, is it maybe something's been going on in the background that we don't know about? I mean,
they might have been training all week with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Do we think honestly it'll be overturned?
No, even though it should be, because I just don't see. I hope I'm proving wrong. The FA
not the way the FA have been.
I just don't think they will.
Even at top level,
I just don't see the FA being like that. Back their own men.
Rightly or wrongly, it's closing ranks this season, isn't it? With referees, and that we've seen some shockers in the Premier League decisions that they've refused to overturn. I can't see it.
I think it's a highly debatable red card. I think when you watch it, there's a lot to it that makes it not a red card. I think it's a foul on Drea first. I think they drag each other down. Hammond gets to the ball. There's cover either side. Is there, to use a Premier League phrase, clear and obvious error there? I think it's debatable whether it would. Yeah. There's enough to overturn it. I would worry that there isn't. But do I think it's a sending off? No. You might argue I'm biased, but there we are.
Well, I mean, the manager was in agreement, wasn't he, that it was
Yes.
a bit harsh.
Worthing manager, yeah. And the refs evening it up. Whatever anybody says, referees even it up. And he'd sent one of theirs off. I don't think contentiously because it was a horrible tackle, but he's evening it up, isn't he? First opportunity he's had, he's done it.
Will those comments from the Worthing manager potentially save Dreyer?
I doubt they care, knowing how the FA work.
Yeah.
Who cares what they think?
Predictions for Chelmsford away before we end?
Anyone going?
I'll go 1-1 draw. I'll go 1-1 draw.
I'm not. Are you going, Tommy?
I am going.
Nice.
Oh, lovely.
Go on, Tommy, what do you reckon?
Oh, it's head versus heart. So head says we win 2-1 if Dreyer's in. If Dreyer's not in, we draw 1-1.
Cool. Chris?
My naturally positive disposition is a bit of a challenge on this one. If we're without Dreyer, we're going to do well to go there and win. I think because they were okay when we played them, weren't they? Our place. It was a game we won with having scored a couple in the first. I think we'll do well to go and win there. But I need to ask the question. I think we will draw 2-2.
Yes.
There you go.
Rachel.
I haven't defected to 2-2 recently for a while, so I'll default. Sorry, defect.
I know you so well, Chris.
I think I'd go with a 2-2. I'd be happy with a point. I think if we don't have Dreyer, and I'd like to. Again, I don't know. I've just got a feeling that we might see a couple of new faces. I don't know. I don't know anything. But if we can get a centre back in, a competent lad, and then potentially get a centre forward as well.
Yeah,
because Cody
needed,
Cooks.
Isn't it?
I mean that lad's.
He's passive.
He does get ill-treated, doesn't he? Most games, and with little reward from the officials. But yeah, 2-2 would be cool. And I'm going to say a Hassani goal. There's a little bit. I've given you a little bit of slander there. I'm going to redress that and say, this is. Do you know? I love when the start of the season. With Jenkins Davis, he had a purple patch, didn't he, of scoring a few. I love seeing goals come from midfield, and I wish we could see more.
Cut back to the edge of the box, and like Carlo Parsons as well. That's what we get if we have that sort of thing. Yeah,
they get in the position. They should be getting in those goal scoring positions. So, but yeah, let's go for a draw.
And actually, if you look at Hassani, had just got in the team, hadn't he? He'd had a good run in the team when he got sent off. And since then, he's not really got back in as a starter. I like him in midfield because he drives. He sees little balls in between the lines. I like him in there. Yeah, second half he was a bit wasteful, but yeah, like a Saturday. But yeah, I like him in there. I agree. He's good in there. Yeah. What about Weston?
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. He stays onside. Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon.